What's up, guys? Today I'm here with my friend and training partner Oliver Taza, and he's going to help us today and show us a technique. So today we're going to go over outside heel hooks, okay? And Oliver's going to show us some of the most common mistakes that beginners and even advanced people make when looking to finish the outside heel hook. So really excited to have him on the channel, and yeah, thanks, Oliver.
Let's do it. Thank you for having me on the channel. We're going to go over outside ashi position, position that people have a lot of interest in, and hopefully I can help you guys out with a couple of pointers that will tighten it all up. So we're going to start in the position already. Now this position, honestly, I wouldn't go to it if I don't have the heel most of the time, but sometimes it happens you end up here. So let's see some common problems that people have and how we can fix them. So the first thing, a good opponent will look to bring his heel to my hip, and he'll look to point his toes away. So if I try to catch the heel, it's going to be difficult. Okay. As I go to dig for it and I go belly down, that will expose my own back. So if I'm starting to go belly down and try to dig for it, a good opponent will he'll grab my lat, he'll go head over head, and the more I try to go for it, the more I start to expose my back, then you get stacked. There are things you can do from there to follow up, roll through, but for now, let's just talk about the idea of digging for heel when it's on your top hip. So now you see his heel is on my bottom hip. So one thing that can start to help is if you guys, instead of going chest down to get the heel, going chest up and trying to point your knees into him. So you see how that gives me the heel. So if I'm trying to dig for it belly down, there are things you can do. There are many things you can do. Maybe stepping on the hip sometimes can help expose it. But sometimes guys that have been in this position and know what needs to be done to hide their heel, it'll make it very hard, and sometimes they'll bait you just to get to your back. So one thing you want to focus on is looking to bring knees to chest, pointing them towards your opponent, and that will give you the heel. Okay, I feel like that's one big area that I see when guys are trying to play outside action. Number two is the grip. I'll pull up my sleeve so you guys can see. But one big mistake also that I see when guys are trying to grab it is they'll bring the heel right here at the crook of the elbow. The problem with that is the second you start to sweat a little bit, the slightest heel slipping action that he does, you lose the heel. So the second thing that I recommend doing is, instead of coming up here at the muscle, the soft part of the arm, come down to the wrist right here. So it's like you're looking at the time. It's like the watch is now the heel. So when he tries to heel slip now, that's not impossible, it's a lot harder. So I would say make that adjustment. You know, toes can be in the armpit, sometimes in the bicep. They're both very good, but that's another thing you want to play around with. So let's say we get here, I will look to point my knees towards my opponent, pull on the knee, bringing everything towards him, so that gives me the heel. And then you can practice, instead of coming up here, just cut your elbow back, and now you have a much better bite. Okay. Now to finish a heel hook, if you're trying to finish and put damage on the knee, you need to control the hips. So a lot of times I see people, what they'll look to do is they'll start to two mistakes in one here. They'll try to rip it across their chest and they'll have their legs unlocked. So you'll see things like guys just ripping it and then with their legs unlocked, and there's just no control over the hip. When you want to finish and you want to put some pressure, it's very important that you control the hips, and you lock them in just like that. So a lot of the breaking pressure will come from your legs, not just you ripping the heel across your chest. Also, ripping the heel across the chest creates momentum, and it makes it a lot easier for him to spin out. Instead, what you guys want to focus on doing is getting a good lock. Here I'm locking with my near leg hidden, but sometimes it happens that you can lock figure fours when you land in outside ashi with the heel. So locking the hips, That's very important. And instead of ripping the heel across your chest and creating all that motion, think about bringing your hands high and your chin low. So when I start the back heel pinch, it doesn't take a lot to get good breaking pressure. So let's go over these things one more time. This position is good. If you like this position, I'm not saying don't go there if you don't have the heel, but it's gonna be hard against a good opponent. He can do many things. He can start throwing this leg over, he can start to counter, you can separate your legs. Now you're in danger. So if you get there without the heel, you might have some problems. Personally, I recommend playing with an Achilles grip here. That'll prevent your back from being taken. You can roll through, you can transition, spin the leg, many things you can do. That's number one. So playing with the Achilles grip instead of naively going belly down, exposing your back to a good opponent that will take your back. So instead of going chest down, what I would recommend is you can wrap your wrist behind the knee and the tendons and look to bring your knees and point them towards him. And that will offer you the heel. Number one. Number two, try to avoid the temptation of putting the heel the crook of the elbow. You're gonna lose it even when you're driving. All he has to do is get his knee outside the line that joins his hip and his foot, and it's out. Whereas if you get the heel and you catch it at where your watch would be, at the wrist here, now he tries to heel slip, it's not impossible, it's just a lot harder, and you can follow him. You can follow him, bringing your wrist to your rib cage. That'll give you some time to readjust. So we talked about the grip, how you want to expose it. The other thing, when you want to finish, you need to control the hip. You need to have control over the hip. You can't expect to finish good guys with unlocked legs. You need counter pressure. So I'm raising the heel. I'm looking to put pressure with my arms, but there needs to be counter pressure with the legs. So locking the hips in, that's something that'll make a huge difference. Back heeling, pinching knees together, bringing hands high and chin low, as opposed to leaning back, ripping it across your chest, and giving him all this momentum to spin and escape the submission. When you get this, usually it should be done. So those are pretty much things that I see happen very often when guys start playing with the leg locks, and I feel like that could tighten things up for you guys. What do you think?
Yeah, for sure. I think those are super good details. That's something that I was kind of guilty of in the beginning when I first started going for heel hooks, especially outside in this outside ashi position, is that I would dig for the heel and guys would come up and crush me, get to my head, counter me, take my back. So super important details on how to properly expose the heel from the outside ashi, and just a few of the common errors that people may be making at a beginner level if you're just learning the position, or even at an advanced level, okay? Because there's so much that goes into actually finishing these positions that sometimes picking up a small detail, maybe you've been doing everything right, but you've been missing one little detail that could make the difference. So guys, make sure you check out Oliver. He just won the European ADCC trials. What's your next competition now? EBI, right? So he's going to be competing in EBI in Mexico this coming weekend. So you guys can check that out on UFC Fight Pass. UFC Fight Pass. Where can people find you?
You guys can find me on Instagram, Taza. You guys can reach out to me on Facebook as well. And you can just leave a comment section in John Carlos. If you're not able, I will find you. And also let me know if there are other common things that you're having trouble with, and maybe next time that I'm back on the channel, we can go over them again.
Yeah, for sure, guys. Make sure you leave a thumbs up to the video. Leave your comment in the comment section below if you have any questions, any thoughts on the video. I'm going to leave all of the links to his social media so you can get in touch with him. And of course, you can check out my links and my products in the description below. Thanks, guys.